Hello, everybody. It's good to have you back again. Welcome to episode two of our Trends in the Appraisal Industry. Again, my name is Anna. It's nice to have you. I'm part of the Anow team. I'm responsible for growth and marketing activities. So if you see any marketing ads, if there's a change in pricing, if we're doing experiments about new features, you probably will hear from me. So that's a little bit about myself. In our last episode, we talked about how to successfully and safely appraise during a COVID-19 pandemic or maybe any other pandemic in the future. And hopefully you took away some good insights and tips on how to stay safe, keep yourself safe, and keep your team and also the client and the homeowner safe in the appraisal process. So today we're going to have a slightly different twist. We're going to be talking about what it's like to appraise during a natural disaster. So this is relevant because a few weeks ago, our friends down in Texas experienced a very sort of freak of nature weather event. There was snow. I saw a lot of videos on social media where people they were using like gardening shovels to actually shovel snow. We live in Canada, so we're quite experienced with shoveling snow. So it was nice to not nice, but it was interesting to see our American friends try to learn how to shovel snow. But there were a lot of outages and shortages, electric shortages and supply shortages just because of this. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you need to do to take care of that. So I'm going to pass it over to Britt to introduce herself before we go ahead into the chat we have today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ikenna. Great introduction. As he mentioned, my name is Britt. I do a lot of marketing and support stuff here at Anow. So if you ever reach out through live chat, give us a call, or you see posts about webinars or anything like that, that's probably going to be where you'll see me hanging around. And like you kind of mentioned as well, we are going to talk today about what it's like to appraise after a storm or natural disaster. I live on the east coast of Canada, Ikenna's on the west coast, and we both go through tons of storms every year, whether it's a winter storm or a spring storm, and especially out west, I know you guys get a lot of summer storms with high winds and hail, so it goes on all year. But like you kind of mentioned as well, this has been more prevalent this year in the States, seeing more snow, and it's interesting to see. I mean, using gardening shovels to shovel your snow, that's a new one for us. But all those kind of conditions, high winds, freezing rain, snow, hail, they can all result in a lot of damage, and it can make it really hard to get anywhere in the first place. So as an appraiser, you're trying to go to different properties and go inside and see what's going on. But if you can't even leave your house, how are you supposed to get your job done?
Exactly.
Right. And even as we move into spring here, I know we have a lot of built up snow over the last couple of weeks and things are melting. So there's a lot of flooding, electrical issues, drainage issues, things that just make it hard to do your job like you normally would. And I believe we mentioned this last week, but Anow does have a tool called Walkthrough that's really great for appraisers who can't get to a property but still want to be able to perform that full inspection and make the money that they normally would. It lets you send a survey out to the homeowner, property owner, one of your clients, and they can take care of all the photos, adding descriptions, so you don't even have to leave your house if you can't. So that's a really, really nice option to have.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And another perspective that I've in our research trying to understand, what happens is so more appraisers. There's actually a lot more work for appraisers as a result of natural disasters. So the disasters actually increase the demand on damaged homes while supply goes down as a result of these natural disasters.
Okay.
So they're typically more refinances. Sometimes some people just abandon the homes and leave it to the lender, and this is where investors come in. So they want to invest, do a little bit of renovation, and make some money and flip the house. So
Okay.
we have a lot of those kind of appraisals taking place after disasters. That being said, though, just circling back to our friends in Texas, it may be a funny thing for us in Canada because we essentially live in snow all the time, but it's unfortunate because there were accidents, there were people who were hurt as a result of the events in Texas. Over here, we experience, hurricanes, even in Florida as well. So these are like really, really severe issues that affect people economically, and safety wise and health wise, elderly people may not have access to actually leave their home. So that's something to consider. And using certain tools that are basically made for anyone with no skills, like Britt mentioned, with walkthrough, to get the appraisal done in a quick way, as quickly as possible, without you having to put yourself on the line. So I just thought that's just worth mentioning.
No, for sure. You made a lot of really great points there. And I know with appraisers getting busier after these kinds of disasters and hurricanes, even like you mentioned, that's a really great point. That's something people in the States go through a lot more than we do up here in Canada. But these kind of reports can often be seen, like the refinancing, reassessments, disaster inspections, they can be seen as risky just because there's a lot of details involved. So when you're going into these kind of reports, you can totally do it. Even if you haven't done one before, you can do it as long as you know what your client wants and you're very, very clear on your goals with the client in this situation. So understand, what are the report requirements? Are there notes about the property that you should be aware of before you even do the inspection or send out a walkthrough survey? Was the property value before the disaster, hurricane, storm? If so, what results were those? You should have that information. And even just knowing what kind of disaster report to use is important in these kind of situations. And again, just communicating clarity with your client, I think that's really going to be key here for a lot
Mhm.
of people to be able to do these reports, even if they're a little bit hesitant about it.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because if you're, and that ties into my next point about clarity and communication. When you're communicating with the homeowner, you should be clear, but when you're keeping documentation for yourself and taking inspection notes, you have to be super detailed in case there is any kind of litigation that happens or you have to do a reinspection. So these can seem risky. They can seem risky if you're not, reporting information that's accurate. So, uh, as far as I know, it's important to remember that appraisers should only report what they actually observe, not assumptions of what they think they actually see. So, for instance, if you see a black spot and you're not 100% sure that it's mold, don't mention that it's mold. And these are the details you could put in your appraisal notes and incorporate into your report. So you essentially have insurance in case uh, uh, legal charges get put against you, or the house gets, in case there's any legal issue that happens as a result of the appraisal that you're doing. As appraisers, you have a responsibility because you're defining a value of that home, that neighborhood, and also influence the economics of the people around there. So it's really important to be professional and honest with your perspective and notes that you give it.
Yeah, I think that's really important to remember, especially not making those kind of assumptions in these circumstances. I mean, if these kind of reports are seen as more detailed and sometimes complex in the first place, don't make assumptions and don't put your reputation on the line just to buff up your report. Just report on exactly what you're seeing. Be as accurate and detailed with what you're seeing without kind of assuming that is mold, that's whatever it might be.
Mhm.
And Anow really is a great way to keep track of all of that. And if litigation does come up, or if there's questions from the client about, hey, where did all of this come from? Or when did this action happen? I missed this. You can go back into your Anow account and you can search the activity feed. You can search your work file history. You can upload as many reports and files, photos, previous appraisals to your work file. So everything's in one place and you really just have a secure order that can't be questioned because your entire history is right there. So protect yourself, but still take advantage of these opportunities when there are more appraisals to be done. Anow is always here to support you if you have any questions about the program, but this is a great opportunity for appraisers to jump in on the demand and make some more money, even if it might seem like a more difficult time.
Yeah, and another thing to piggyback of something that you mentioned about the activity history is that those are actually just readable. You, or read only rather. You can't actually edit them, so it's actually embedded in the code of A now. So whatever change is made, even if you revert back to the old point, you still see that who does the change and how it was done and when it was done.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of that code, you could actually use that in a legal case and say, the code's not lying. Our developers can't even change it, even if they wanted to. So that's just an interesting thing to point out. And another perspective about the point that I made earlier around, talking about mold or getting insights from homeowner. So homeowners are usually proud of cool things they think they did to upgrade their houses. Sometimes they're worth it. I've seen a lot of interesting things in the reports in the past, but what A now gives you the ability to do is, as part of the walkthrough assessment virtually, they have the option to actually put in details about their home that they think they want to point out to you because they think it's important, or maybe in that community it's a piece of renovation or an upgrade that people appreciate, or something that's historical that's worth pointing out. It may be relevant to a new buyer of the home. So those are some of the really super nitpicky things you could do with Anow that are very unique to the software. So I think that's it for the points that we have now, Britt. Do you have any sort of summaries or takeaways you want to leave the audience with?
I think we really kind of covered everything. So, just the main key takeaways for me are being aware of the kind of report you need to perform in this situation, having the tools to back you and your reputation, keeping things clear with your client, and getting all the information you need before you even start. And I also want to mention that we will include tons of resources and links in the description of this video below if you want to read any of the articles and videos and things that we read up on preparing for this. And I'll also include some links to different Anow tools that can come in handy for appraisers in these times.
Awesome, awesome, and thank you for that, Britt. If you have any questions, if you have ideas for our next 2 or 3 episodes, definitely let us know. If you've had experience appraising in a disaster, we'd love to see your storyline. We'd love to share it on social media because that would be something unique that we can make up ourselves, and you share it with other appraisers for them to learn from. So thank you so much again. I hope you enjoyed episode 2. We will see you next time in episode 3. Take care.
Bye.